Hello everyone, I am Dr. VRAO. By seeing this bird, you all come to know that World Intellectual Property Right is observed on 26th April. That is 26th April of every year is observed as World Intellectual Property Right Day. And the theme of this year Intellectual Property Right Day is that Women and IP, Women and Intellectual Property, Accelerating Innovation and Creativity, Celebrating the can-do attitude of women and their groundbreaking work. Right? So, on this day, I shall make an attempt to explain what is intellectual property and what is intellectual property right, and wants to address on the theme of this year World Intellectual Property Right Day. Right? So, during these recent days, this intellectual property right is widely referred with an acronym IPR, Intellectual Property Right. Right? So, intellectual property right is a generic term which defines intangible asset. I repeat, intellectual property right is a generic term which defines intangible asset. Now, what is intangible asset? The asset which is invisible is called intangible asset. For example, one of the intangible asset of human beings is that their thought process or idea in one's brain. Right? So, intellectual property right is a intangible asset, that is invisible asset. That is the most intangible asset of human beings is that their thought process or idea in one's brain. Right? Now, for example, Madam Marie Curie discovered two radioactive elements called radium and polonium, and of course her husband made his contribution for her radium discovery. Right? So, Madam Marie Curie discovered that two radioactive elements with her own idea or with her own thought process, but she did not keep that idea as a secret. She reveals the process for getting radioactive elements from the pitchblende ore. That is, she reveals the process for getting radioactive elements, that is radium and polonium, from pitchblende ore. That is, her intellectual property is not protected then. She reveals that process to all human beings, to all. For example, if she claimed that the process for getting radioactive elements from the pitchblende ore is mine and no one is allowed to do that, if she did like that, her family would become one of the richest persons in the world. But she did not do like that. Instead of that, she quoted, radium is an element it belongs to the people. It belongs to the people. Right? So, with her quotation, many people, or that idea is being used by many and earned billions of rupees. But she was not claimed the process for getting radioactive elements is mine, and no one is allowed to do that. That is, she suggested, and moreover, she suggested her family members with her actions that getting patent, that is, happiness is not in getting patent, but happiness is in discovering new things. Happiness is not in getting patent. Happiness is in the finding new things, or happiness is in new discoveries. That is the attitude of a woman. With her attitude, with her can-do attitude, might be she suggested her family members, patent won't give you happiness, but finding new things gives you happiness. That is the, might be that was her thought, and her thought was reflected in her family with another 3 Nobel Prizes. That is, her family won 5 Nobel Prizes, and that is the only family which won 5 Nobel Prizes across the world. Right? That is the attitude of Madam Marie Curie. And this year we are celebrating the can-do attitude of women. If we wants to celebrate the can-do attitude of women, that is the only woman who suggested her family members with her can-do attitude. That is, she is the only woman across the world. And now, actually, that type of can-do attitude, or the type of attitude is not won't working in this today's economic world, because in this today's economic world, what is priced becomes prized. What is unpriced becomes invisible. Right? What is priced becomes prized, and what is unpriced becomes invisible. Actually, her idea was unpriced then. So, her sacrifice is invisible. That is, no one is remembering her sacrifice. But she suggested her family members with her can-do attitude, and that can-do attitude is reflected in her family with 5 Nobel Prizes. Right? So, and therefore, in this economic world, we have to protect our intellectual property. Otherwise, we have to protect our intellectual property. Otherwise, otherwise our intellectual property may be stolen by others. Therefore, intellectual property right is a generic term which defines intangible asset which are owned by individual person or a company who are contributing national or state economies. Okay, so that's why thousands of companies rely on adequate protection of their patents, copyrights, trademarks. Right? Actually, there are three types in intellectual property. That is, one is copyright, and another one is trademark, and the third one is patent. Right? So, copyright is a right to protect a tangible form of expression. For example, when we go through the research papers, we came to know that a certain point, and that certain point was expressed by someone. Okay, we can study that, we can read that statement, and we can use that statement, but we are not allowed to use that same expression in our research papers, right? So that is the Copyright Act. That is, we are not allowed to use that same expression, right? Now, trademark, it refers to the design or symbol. For example, we have a Nike symbol, Apple company symbol, okay, bench car symbol, right? We have so many designs we come across in our daily life. We're always seeing a lot of trademarks, right? So trademark, actually the trademark enables the customers for safe purchase and asset, what is it called, assured goods. For example, when we want to buy a phone, or when we want to buy a cap, we look for its trademark, whether it is original or not. So that original trademark enables us to find whether it is a good product or not, right? And another one is patent. Patent, which protects the use or selling of another's idea, right? For example, bench car has its patent. No one is allowed to use that bench car design because that got patent, right? So patent is a sovereign authority is given to inventor or discoverer after a close examination of its viability, right? So these are the types of intellectual property rights. And these intellectual property rights, for example, patent or copyright or trademark, enables the customers or enables the persons to verify whether it is a original one or not. For example, when we want to buy something, one article, then we always look for its trademark. That trademark enables the customers for safe purchase and same comparative benefits to the company. So company sells their idea with their trademark. So that is the importance of trademark. And patent is very important because with the patent we can protect our intellectual property. Because after inventing something, our intangible asset becomes tangible. after inventing something, our intangible, that is the idea in our brain, is in the form of article or something, right? So our intangible asset becomes tangible, and that tangible asset is not allowed to copy by others. So intellectual property is very important in nowadays, because in this economic world, what is priced becomes prized, what is unpriced becomes invisible. But Madam Mary Curie revealed the process for getting radioactive elements from the pitchblende ore. If she protected her idea with intellectual property right, she would earn millions of rupees, or her family members would earn millions of rupees. But she did not do like that. So that is the can-do attitude of women in the history. So this year happened to be the theme of IPR 2023 is Women and IP, right? That's why we need to praise her can-do attitude, that is can-do attitude of Madam Mary Curie. Okay, I hope you learned something about intellectual property. Thank you for watching.